Just make sure that it's okay. Got it. Right, so I'm recording now. Happy days for me. Right, so it's lovely to see you all, and thank you very much for giving up your time in the holidays to actually do this. Now, what we're going to do is I have with me, I've raided my kids. I've got some little boys. So we're going to use, I don't know which one's a Marvel and I don't know which one's a DC, but there's Wakanda Forever. We're going to be using these to give you a sense of which characters change and which don't. All right, so I thought you would have something nice and visual. So obviously the first person that we're going to start off with is we're going to start off looking at Antonio, okay, because he is the merchant of Venice. Now, what I think is unusual is the fact that the play is all about him, as in he is title, he is the merchant of Venice. But actually, as a character, in some ways, I think that he is quite maybe one-dimensional, but in other ways, he is the one who, because of his own arrogance, what Shakespeare actually does is he shows that Antonio has to like go through this change in him during the court scene, especially, which he is not actively seeking. It's kind of been put upon him by his own, you know, his own methods and his own sort of arrogance and his own anti-Semitism. And what happens then is afterwards, it's obvious that he is changed. And at the end, in some ways, he's actually in the same position, but slightly less than at the start. So if you can just type in a message, can people tell me what you know about Antonio at the start? How would you describe Antonio at the start of the... So if you just want to just type it down or just let me know. Let's get some. He is sad. Very good. Jess, do you know why he's sad? He's depressed at the start and he doesn't know why. Very good. So Solario and Salarino are like, oh, I think it's because your ships are on the sea and all your fortunes are tied up, and he doesn't know why. What could you surmise and infer the reason is that he is upset? Who knows that? What could you suggest maybe the reason why he is upset? He is, yeah, he is cruel. He is. We'll see that in a minute. But is he cruel because of the socialization at that time? Let me see if I can share something with you. So can you all see this now? Can you see this? So this is what he says. So at the start he says, in sooth, I know not why I am so sad. It wearies me. You say it wearies you. So he starts off and he's very, very upset. So here's Wolverine, and Wolverine looks like he's putting his finger up, middle finger up. So this is Antonio, because I think Wolverine's quite a grumpy guy. He doesn't really know why he's so sad. You can infer, actually, after we get to know them a little bit more, that Antonio is maybe sad because actually he is in love with Bassanio. If we have a look here, I'm just going to be going up and down here a little bit. He says up here, where does he say this? So at the start, he says, you to wind about my love. All right, so they talk very much about their love for each other, and that happens at the start. So that is established straight away. It is not unknown to you, Antonio, how much I have disabled my estate. To you, Antonio, I owe the most in money and in love. All right, so you can infer, and what I'm trying to say is, you know, when you do your 5-star, you do your what's that first one called? Hypothesis, quote, technique. And this is the bit, your ruby ring, that I'm trying to get you to do these things, exploring what the Shakespeare is trying to do, but also exploring alternatives. So we know to Antonio, I owe the most in money and in love. There is something that is beyond friendship there. Obviously, Antonio doesn't mind that Bassanio takes all his money, but also there's this idea that you could infer that they are more close, I suppose. And from your love I have a warranty to unburden all my plots and purposes, how to get clear of all the debts I owe. So what he is saying here, you could infer to unburden all my plots and purposes. Basically, he wants to marry Portia because, not because he loves her, although you can infer that. You could also infer and argue that he wants to marry Portia because he wants to pay back the man he loves. So he doesn't actually love Portia. The whole thing is a plot to get more money because he is a gold digger. So as we go further on, who shall I have? Bassanio. Right, here's Iron Man. Here's Bassanio. So Iron Man, you know how Iron Man is a playboy in films? You know, he's got lots and lots of money. Well, actually, he's a playboy, but he doesn't have any money. He's got rid of it all. So these two are like, I'm really sad. I know, but I love you. So give me some more money and then I can pay you back. Okay. So you've got these two. And then how does, if we're just going back to this, who can tell me, how does Antonio behave towards Shylock when Shylock asks him, so he asks Shylock for money, but then he says, okay, well, I'll lend you money as a friend. How does Antonio respond to that? Can anyone tell me how he responds? Oh, write it down. Sorry, I've just got to make sure I've got the right toys. Come on, let me see you writing it down. How does Shylock, if you don't know, just type don't know, because I need to know what you do know and what you don't know. So how does Shylock respond when, or how does Antonio respond when Shylock says to him, you know, I will lend you this money and I'll lend it to you as a friend. How does Antonio respond? Come on. I certainly know the people that I've taught know this. Come on, Ellen, come on. Jess, how does he respond? Yes, very good. He says, I won't take money as a friend, but I'll take it as an enemy. Now, here's my Shylock. Yes, there's distrust on both ends. So here's my Shylock, right? My Shylock is Thanos. And I'll talk to you in a bit about why Shylock is Thanos. But you've got an obvious goodie and an obvious baddie. And do remember that during Shakespearean times, Shylock would have been like the things that make up his Jewishness in kind of stereotypical times would have been really magnified, and he would have been portrayed very much as a villain on stage, like a pantomime villain. And although there would be people in the audience, obviously, who would be able to see through that and see him actually as a human, in other times there would be people who would be quite happy, all right, in terms of having him as a villain and of him being villainous. So absolutely. So you've got these two here, and there is a great mistrust, because what we know about Antonio is that he has been spitting on Shylock, and Shylock has been, you know, and his tribe and all of his tribe have been incredibly badly treated by the Christians. We all know about that in terms of, you know, the terrible things that have happened. And that's one of the reasons why Shylock really seeks to go and get that pound of flesh. Is for him, and it's also for other things. So as we go down here, we look at this. I hope you can all see this. This is when they're talking. 3,000 ducats. Well, that's for 6 months. Okay, so as we go down here and we have a look at this, we have a look down here. Shylock hates him. How like a fawning publication he looks. I hate him for he was a Christian. All right, so there is, first of all, they are, you know, establishing and introducing the hatred on a personal level. They hate each other, all right? But also Shylock hates Antonio because Antonio lends out money without interest when he's got it to hand, when he's got liquid cash. And Shylock means, well, people don't come to me now, because remember that's the only way really he could make money was through usury. So if I can catch him once upon the hip, I will feed the fat, the ancient grudge I bear him. He hates our sacred nation. and he rails even there where merchants most do congregate. So what he's saying is he rails means that he gets angry with him, but also even where merchants most do congregate. Now, it's really important to understand this, that Antonio has no compassion or the ability to think that Shylock is human. And what Antonio does is he kicks off at Shylock in the Rialto and in places where there are lots of other people. And it's really important that you understand that Shylock, as a man of business, would find that very embarrassing. And what Shylock does is, if you're talking about structure, he does exactly the same to Antonio in the court scene. So if you get a question, I don't know, on either Shylock or Antonio, or the relationship between the Christians and Shylock, or something to do with hatred or anything like that, you can talk about how in the court scene, because Shylock has the power over Antonio, he embarrasses him in front of all the people in the court. And what he is doing is, the whole point of the court scene, it is completely turning over the power that Shylock didn't have as a Jew on the Christians. So you can see at this point that Shylock has been very clever, and he doesn't do it just for himself. If you have a look here, he says, "I will feed fat the ancient grudge I bear him. He hates our sacred nation." All right, so Shylock does it for him, but also he does it for, you know, cursed be my tribe if I forgive him. So what this means here is he's like, you know, I cannot forgive him personally because of what he's done towards the Jews, my tribe, my people. I can't possibly forgive him personally. And so when you think that he's got that, the weight of this anti-Semitism that he and all of his Jewish friends feel, and his family, and you've got this, and you compare it, and you add it also to the hatred he feels when Jessica and his jewels are stolen, then you can actually understand in a way, okay, well, I can understand now why he hates Antonio so much. Shylock, do you hear? So Bassanio's like, oh, you mate, come on. And as he goes, he says, right, let me see it. I'll just go further down here. Oh, come on. So I'm going to be going up in here. Okay, we all know this one. Signor Asio, many a time and often the Rialto, you have rated me about my money and usances. Still, I've borne it with a patient shrug. For suffrage is the bag of our tribe. You call me misbeliever, cutthroat dog, and spit upon my Jewish captain. And Antonio, this is what I'm trying to say. So when you just have Antonio by himself being grumpy, he says, I am likely to call you a dog again, and I am likely to spit on you again and spurn you. If you will lend me thou money, lend it not. As to thy friends, for when did friendship take a breeder? So in some ways you could say, look, Antonio, as a Christian, obviously has the audience on his side, but in another way, there is that element of him being an arrogant man, and there is something very personal about what he does. And I think, in a way, Shylock has Shakespeare has written him as somebody who is actually quite unlikable. So you've got Antonio here. He doesn't really change, right? Has anyone got anything they want to say about that in the first instance? Okay, anyone got any questions about Antonio? Are we all very aware of how awful he is at the start? Okay, so he does facilitate Bassanio's trip over to Belmont. What he also does is that he then realizes that his ships have been sunk. Now, there is a little scene where Shylock and Antonio are talking, right? And it is when the jailer is there. Can anyone tell me how this changes? It's right before the court scene. Can anyone tell me the difference in who has the power and how we know that? I know that Jess and Ellen, you do. So can you just type it down if you know what happens in that little scene? Anyone know that? Abby, Tilly, Jess? Anyone? Don't be shy. Lenny? Anyone know? So what happens is What was the question? So the question was, there's a little scene just before the court scene between Shylock and Antonio, and there's the jailer there as well. And what I was saying is, can you remember how that shows the difference in power between these two? So at the start, obviously, Antonio has the power. Very good. The roles have reversed and Shylock has the power and the law. So can you all just see this? So this is right. Let me just go through this. Sorry, I've just got to go up and down, which is a bit annoying. So Shylock is really happy, obviously, from Tubal when he hears about that. And he's like, Tubal, tell me more, tell me more. He has been undone. And you can see how angry he is because he's had that. Right. So Act 3, Venice, a street, Act 3, Scene 3. So this, can you all see this little bit here? So jailer, look to him. Tell me not of mercy. This is the fool that lent out money gratis. Jailer, look to him. Hear me yet, good Shylock. I'll have my bond, not against my bond. So what you actually have here, it's a very short scene and I love it so much. If you're talking about the structure, you can talk about how Shakespeare has completely reversed the power. And in front of the jailer, Shylock speaks more than Antonio. So usually the person that speaks the most is the person that has the power. That's in general. You think about how often your teacher speaks compared to you in a lesson. You know, somebody that speaks more generally has the power. At the start, Antonio was very much in control, but here he has been laid low by the fact that he doesn't have his boats anymore. And he says, I pray, hear me speak. And what Shylock does is he repeats that, I'll have my bond, I'll have my bond. He must say bond about 6-7 times. So what that does is it's reinforcing the fact that he has the law on his hand. Whereas Antonio, this is what I was saying at the start of this is the, like, Antonio, for all his arrogance, now is begging for his life. And you can understand in a way that he is just desperate to speak to Shylock and to have Shylock change. But Shylock is using, again, this is a really good thing to talk about when you're exploring things. Shylock is using the Christian law against the Christians. Okay. So Shylock also says, thou callest me dog before thou had a cause, but since I am a dog, beware my fangs. Oh, so he's using the Christians, remember, at this. So what I'm saying is, you know, in the 5-star, when you get to your ruby ring, number 4, and you're exploring things, if you get a question on hatred, you can talk about how Shylock is changing and talking, you know, he has the power and he's using the hatred that the Christians showed him back again. All right, so he's showing the hatred back again to the Christians, which he has the power to do. All right, so Antonio is now even sadder than ever, but he has lost that sadness that he had when Bassanio's gone, and now he's just sad because he's gonna lose his life. Right, can anyone now tell me what happens in the court scene? Who can tell me what happens in the court scene between these two? Who has the power? Because it's obviously still about these two. So he's representative of the Christians and he's representative of the Jewish faith. And yet it's still so personal between them. So what happens in the court scene? Who can tell me? Who ends up with the power? Right, interesting. Portia shows up and saves Antonio from Shylock. He does. She does, as Balthazar. She shows up and saves Portia. But then she gives Antonio the final say. Well, the Duke kind of gives Antonio the final say in punishment for Shylock. So obviously we think that Shylock is going to have the power. He's whetting his knife. Why do you whet your knife so earnestly? To take a pound of flesh from that bankrupt there. I love you, Bassanio. But what happens at the end? What happens at the end? Oh, hang on. Sorry, postman. So, anyone know? I'm very disappointed because I know my class do. There's disappointment in my heart. Let's have a look. Right, this is what happens in the court scene. What you have now, this is where things you can infer certain things in the court scene. All right, the first thing that happens is we understand that Antonio says, "I love you," to Bassanio. Where's Bassanio? Here's Bassanio. Right, Charlotte, you go. So in front of everybody. Now, do remember that there is an element of these very, like, Portia's very rich, Antonio's very rich, and, you know, Shylock, they've all been embarrassed by each other. This embarrassment that they sort of hold in front of each other. And Antonio says to Bassanio, and also to everybody else, to Portia as well, who's listening, when the tale is told, bid her judge whether Bassanio had not once a love. All right, I'll pay your debt presently with all my heart. So the whole way through, and do remember it's all about structure, the audience are reminded of the love between Bassanio and Antonio, and this is what's happening now. And obviously it would be a comedy, so the audience would be pee. It's really funny because Portia is then left to, oh my gosh, my husband, who I've just married, I've just given loads of money to, is now just in front of everyone else, you know, saying that he loves him. Antonio, I am married to a wife which is as dear to me as life itself. The life itself, my wife, and all the world are not with me esteemed above thy life. I would lose all, sacrifice all, here to this devil to deliver you. And Portia's like, oh, thanks, really nice. So you could infer and argue, if you get a question on Antonio and Bassanio, all the Christians, all love, that actually, because it structurally happens at the start and here, Shakespeare is reminding you that actually these are the two people that are most in love. And what Shylock does is, through his, you know, needing of the court scene, it means that Shylock, Antonio and Bassanio are actually forced to expose and confront this love. And then obviously Gratiano, who's basically a little shadow. Oh, I love someone else too. I love Nerissa, but I'd sacrifice her. And Nerissa's like, cheers. So, however, obviously Portia comes along, and Portia then is amazing, and then Shylock, nope, is punished. Now, this is a bit that some people get a little bit confused about. Okay, so basically what happens is, down here, where is it? Portia says, right, where is Portia? Who should we use as Portia? I only have boys, but I don't actually have any girl. Isn't that terrible? How stereotypical is Portia? So Portia says, right, hang on a minute, Jew. Okay, the law hath another hold on you, and if it proves that you have wanted to take the life of an alien, then we can take half your goods, and the other half comes to the privy coffer of the state. And the offender's life lies in the mercy of the Duke only, against all other voices. So do remember that they had the Duke that ruled everything. So what happens is, you've got Portia saying, hang on a minute, you've also got this, down therefore and beg mercy for the Duke. I mean, if you think about, again, we're thinking beyond like, oh, this is what happens, but the humiliation and the shame and the embarrassment of having to get down on your knees and beg. I don't think Thanos can. I don't think Charlotte can actually bend his knees. Oh, okay. She is embarrassing him. On top of everything else, she is embarrassing him, and that's such a terrible thing. You know, when you think about how awful people treat each other, as well as stripping him of his, you know, his money and everything, she also says, get down and beg. Beg that thou may have leave to hang thyself. So Gratiano, you know, he's a bit of a wild one, and he's adding on to that. And the Duke says, I pardon thee life before I ask it, but for half of the wealth is Antonio's, the other half comes to the general state. So the Duke says to Thanos, to Shylock, half your wealth goes to Antonio, half your wealth goes to the state. And Shylock says, no, you might as well kill me if you take my house when you take the prop that does to say my house. So he's basically saying, look, you might as well kill me, because if I don't have any money, then I can't live. And then Portia says, what mercy can you render him, Antonio? She's actually asking Antonio what he can do. Now, this is the bit I was just having a lively discussion with one of my fellow colleagues about about how you can look at this, because Antonio says, okay, the Lord, the Duke, and all the court to quit the fine for 1/2 of his goods, I am content. Right, so he says, right, okay, Shylock's got to give half of his jewels away, the money away, and then he can keep his other half. Now, you could argue that Antonio is being merciful, because he's saying, all right, Jew, keep half of your stuff. Okay. When you die, half of it goes to Jessica and Lorenzo. All right. And then you've got to become a Christian. Okay, now I was having a discussion with this. Obviously, the obvious thing to suggest is that by making him a Christian, he is tormenting him. And it is something that is so cruel and so humiliating and so awful that you can't really fathom about why he is going to do it. But you could also argue that to some, not to everyone, but to some, the fact that Antonio said that Shylock could become a Christian was actually being quite merciful to him, because he was saving him and he was allowing him to, you know, do different things. He didn't have to live in the ghetto. He could, you know, all of those things that come with being a Christian, you could argue. So imagine, I know that he's not, is he an Avenger? I don't know. But imagine this. Here's Thanos. He's a baddie. He's clicked his fingers. He's killed half of humanity. Now imagine when everyone went after him, instead of killing him, they went, actually, do you know what? Why don't you become an Avenger? Come and join us. Come and be one of us. You'd be like, oh, those Avengers, they're so merciful. He was going to do something really bad, and instead of, like, you know, killing him, they've said, no, come and join us. There is the argument that maybe some parts of the audience would think that Antonio is actually being merciful and he's not being hypocritical. Okay, so if you get a question on, you know, I don't know, the Christians or Antonio or Shylock or anything like that, anything to do with that relationship, you could say, of course, you know, a modern audience and some of the Shakespearean audience would think that Antonio is being incredibly cruel by stripping him of his Jewishness. It could be argued that he is being merciful. Now, what do you think of that? Has anyone got any things they'd like to say about that idea? Yeah, well done, Jess. Oh, why won't that go down a little bit more? Yes, at the end, Antonio has the power. Yeah. Okay, excellent. So it's really important that you understand these two in terms of what they can do to each other, what they do, and what he does to him, which could be argued as being incredibly, awful, but at the same time could be argued in some way, oh, Thanos, become an Avenger. Do you know what I mean? There is that element that you could argue that. And then do you know what happens? Okay, we never hear from him again. And I think that's the bit that a modern audience finds so difficult about it, is the fact that, you know, it's very difficult to sort of realise that, you know, there's no, we don't understand how Shylock is getting on, because basically he has been put in there to be the villain, that the Christians are able to get one over, and aren't they clever with the Christians? We can do everything. We're so clever. Right. However, we've got Bassanio. What happens at the end, which shows that Paul is actually the one that's in control. What happens at the end? You can tell me what happens at the end that shows Portia is in control of everything. Anyone? Come on. What happens between Portia and Bassanio and Antonio at the end of this? Yeah, Portia says she slept with Balthazar to get the ring. And then, Jess, what does Portia do to Antonio and Bassanio, which you could infer? What does she say to them at the end? Can you remember? You are sure. You do know. Shame, shame on you. Right. So again, we're looking at structure. Babbity babbity ba. Okie dokie. So what happens at the end is you've got these two who it could be argued, it could be argued that as two characters, they're the main love story. It could be argued. It could be argued that they have let the whole world know of their love. Remember, this is a comedy. It'd be like always two. All right. So what happens is Portia at the end is like after they've had that dramatic irony, very comedic. You've got the ring. How did you get the ring? I slept with Balthazar. Oh no, you didn't. Oh yeah, I did. Oh no, you didn't. And she's like, oh yeah, all right. Well, actually. Here we go. Here's Portia. And she says to everyone, you're amazed. Here is a letter. Read it at your leisure. It comes from Padua from Bellario. Yeah, you shall find that Portia was a doctor, Nerissa there, her clerk. All right. And then this, if you're looking at things that are really important, she says this. Antonio, you are welcome. All right. So Antonio is probably like, what? Because do remember that this would have been a boy playing a woman who played a boy. And so it would be like, oh, this is so funny. But also the fact that a woman had the mental capacity to do all of this, everyone would be like, oh my God. And so if you're talking about structure, Portia is well in control here because she doesn't even let Antonio speak. She goes, I have not yet entered my house. Personal pronoun my. All right. She's not letting Bassanio, in that typical kind of husband way, taking all her money. You can argue at the end, she says, Antonio, you are welcome. I have better news in store for you. Unseal this letter soon. You shall find 3 of your Argoses are richly come to harbour. So she's saying, you're Antonio. She's saying, Antonio, what you need to do is you need to unseal this letter and you'll find that 3 of your ships have come back, aka you've got your money back, aka you're no longer broke, aka get off back to Venice. All right, she said, you shall not know by what strange accident I chanced upon this letter. You shall not know. That is a statement. She's not being bossed around by anyone. She's saying to the men, and you, and you, and you. All right. And Antonio's like, I'm dumb. So if you're talking about characters at the end, which is like the whole idea of this, Antonio starts off sad because he's in love with Bassanio, but, for whatever reason, they can't be together. But he has arrogance against the Jew. All right. And what then happens is that he has to be humbled by the Jew because of what happens with his ships. So because he's so arrogant about money and he's got all the money, he's a merchant, he's very wealthy, can't pay Shylock back, so he's humbled. But then what you could also talk about is the fact that at the end, if you're going to do a question, so any character questions, it's always such a good idea to explore the characters at different stages. So Antonio goes from being lonely and sad but arrogant to being humbled and frightened but still in love. And at the end, you could argue that he is in a worse position than he was before because he doesn't have Bassanio, because Bassanio will stay in Belmont and he will stay in Venice. Portia has manipulated things so that he actually has his boat. He's got his boats back. So, you know, Portia's very clever and very, very rich. So she could have just bought other boats, but she's giving him the chance to go and live away. And so he's also stuck in Venice. But do remember, he has been embarrassed. He's been embarrassed by Shylock. So although he is the main character and we like to think of him as a good guy, maybe Shakespeare actually punishes him at the end by having his main love in Belmont where he's not. And, you know, he's been embarrassed in the court scene. Everyone now knows he's in love with Bassanio, but Bassanio is going to be in Belmont. Maybe he is just as punished as Shylock. Bassanio at the end. So if you think at the start, he had no money, he had no power because he had no money. He had to go to Antonio to get money. You know, you could argue that he went to see Portia simply because she was rich and he wanted her money. As time goes on, you know, you can see that there's a definite love between these two, because on the first night, which is the wedding night, rather than, you know, having marital relations with Portia, he decides to go back and save Antonio. So you can see that at all times, Antonio and Bassanio's relationship is placed on a higher pedestal than his relationship with Portia. But Antonio also has the power over him, because when Portia says, "Give me the ring," when she's pretending to be Balthazar, he actually says, no, I can't give you the ring. And Antonio says, "Oh, just give Balthazar the ring. My love is more important than your wife's command." And so what does Portia do? She's heard this love between them. She's not being embarrassed. She says, "You can come into my house." So what happens at the end is that Portia, we'll look at her in a minute, Portia has the power. Bassanio is in a worse predicament than before, because he's got the money by marrying Portia, but he's also embarrassed her. She's got the power. And what she's done is she's separated Bassanio from Antonio. So maybe, although this is a comedy, and, you know, if you look at it at a light-hearted way, everyone will be laughing, joking. That's so funny. If you're looking at it into more detail and you're actually looking for inference, what you could argue is that he has been left lonely as well. The only thing that you could argue is that actually he does have Gratiano with him, because someone else has said that another reason why Nerissa marries Gratiano is so that she can stay close to Portia, because Gratiano and Antonio are mates. So if you have a look at Portia now, we're racing through this. Who can tell me how Portia is presented at the start? How is Portia presented at the start? If you can tell me. Let me have a look at this. Oh, Alex has actually said Bassanio ended up with a massive amount of power due to his newly acquired wealth. That's interesting. And obviously you can argue that 100%. Because he's married to Portia, so he does have wealth. However, you can also argue that Portia's got the power, because she's the one that's going, "I did this, and I did this, and I did this, and I did this." So, Alex, if you could just write down if you think that you agree with what I'm saying, that Portia's actually got the power, or if you still agree with the fact that Bassanio's got the power. And the thing is, you know, in the exam, you're not offering like, "Oh, this is this and that is that." Give two answers. That's exactly what they want you to do. They want you to give two answers. So the more answers, you know, the more interpretations that you can offer, and the more, you know, it's that number 4. It's the exploration of ideas. If you can offer alternative ideas, that's really good. Right, let's have a look at this. At the start, Portia is rich. She's controlled by her dead father. Ooh. Right, her dead father says, "No, Portia, you can't marry who you want to marry because I've put this curse on you." Now, there are some people who say that her father is being a real rotbag and is not allowing Portia to marry who she wants for love. However, there are other people who say that Portia's father is doing the right thing because he's put this thing in place. So only people who, you know, are prepared to lose everything to marry his daughter will marry her. And do remember that at that time, Portia would be seen, like Bassanio sees her actually, as, you know, a real kind of catch. So the father's being nice to her. But yes, obviously, it's very obvious that Portia starts off being rich but controlled. Now, as characters go, I think Portia is the one who changes the most obviously, but it's ironic that she changes the most obviously because she is marrying a weak man. So obviously the reasons that Portia is amazing is because she saves Antonio, she has the power in the court scene, she's bright enough to do it. You know, and this would add to the comedic effect of this. They would think that this is funny. Ooh, this is so funny. Look at this woman. She's got a womb, but she's also got a brain. Oh my God, I can't believe it. But she is also humiliated. We love each other. Oh my God, I've just married him. You know, she didn't even know him. She's like looked at him and she's seen that he's quite a catch. And she's like, oh my God, I've just married him. And now I realise that he's in love with Antonio and he's told the world, he's told all of Venice. So at the end, I think she's very clever because she gives the ring, she's given him the ring, and you could argue, yes, she gives him the ring because she loves him, but you can also argue that she gives him the ring to test him. Obvs. You know, she's like, well, with this ring, I give you everything, my servants and blah, 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 blah. I give you all of this. And she's like testing him, isn't she? Who agrees with that? Who agrees that she gives him the ring to test? Well, the ring is like a deterrent. Interesting, Alex. Why do you think that? And what do you mean by a deterrent for what? Do you think it's like, I'm married, stay away? Is that what you mean? Because I love hearing what other people say. Is it a deterrent to other people? I'm very interested. Just type that, what you think there about that. Right, it's a deterrent due to the fact that she could accuse him of number of acts, so it's a deterrent for himself and others. Right, okay. So they would see, what you mean is they would see that he is married. Is that what you mean? So he's like, he's married and therefore everyone else should stay away. Does that, if you believe that, and that's an absolute, you know, if you think that the ring is a deterrent, that's really good. Kind of, yeah. But then the fact that he's got this ring, but then in front of everyone, in front of the whole of Venice, he says, I'm married. I've got this ring. Look at me. I'm married to this really rich lady, but I still love you. Do you not think that it makes it even worse that he says that in the court scene? I love you too. FFS. Who have I just married? Possibly, yeah. And what's interesting is, so what do you think then about the fact that these two, Alex, what do you think? Because you've got a differing opinion to me, which I love. What do you think about the fact that these two say they love each other? What do you think about that? And does anyone else agree with me? Or disagree? I just want to hear it. I just feel like I've just been yapping for hours, and I'd like to actually know what you say. Who thinks Portia's got control at the end? Just put a yes if you think Portia's the one in control at the end. You can infer it. Okay, so you can infer that. Yep. Tilly, yeah. Ellen, yeah. It's interesting. All the girls are like, yeah, girlfriend. Abby, yeah. Oh, what's happened to my hair? Yeah, good friend. Yes, so I think, and gents, what do you think? Do you think that she's in control? I think that what Bassanio did was so embarrassing, and think of that as, you know, who embarrasses who? If you get a question on any of these, that's a really good thing to explore. They embarrass each other in Venice. Okay, due to the time, it might Oh, hang on a minute, I can't see that. Due to the time, it might not be received as how much. I think male has more sense due to the context and place, and yes, Portia does generally end up with more control. Yeah. Time, yeah. And I think that would be something that would be absolutely fine, because you'd realise, oh, hang on a minute, she's clever. She's a clever woman, and actually she deserves to have that time. So at the end, you could argue that maybe Portia is the one who changes and who is definitely on top and probably gets what she wants, which is to remain, you know, in power. Now, I know that we've raced through this. Here am I. Let's have a quick talk about some other. So you've got Shylock, Bassanio, Antonio, and Portia. 4. We've looked at them. Then you've got these guys here, who are the Christians. So you've got Salario, Salanio, and Salarino, right? So does anyone want to say anything about these people at the time? So what I think about the Christians are they act as a mob and they act as a gang, but in a way they are quite two-dimensional. And I'm not talking about Lorenzo and Gratiano because they're slightly more important. I'm talking about these 3. And what I think they are used for is as a chorus in a way. So they are narrating. So they tell the audience things when they're talking about each other. So they're the ones that go, oh, and Shylock was, when Jessica goes away, Shylock was walking around the streets and he went down to Antonio's boat, Bassanio's boat. And, you know, they were like, all the boys in Venice were like, oh my duckets, oh my daughter, oh my duckets, oh my daughter. And they're just taking the mickey out of him. So they're used as a chorus. They're also used, I think, as a mob. When they go and they steal Jessica, which is such a terrible thing. And what that does is it changes Shylock's opinion of what he's doing in terms of his bond from something that is, you know, about the Christians and the Jews as 2, you know, tribes of people, 2 different groups of people, to being very, very personal. Because do remember that at that time, women were seen as objects that were owned by their father. So he would think that Jessica had been stolen from him, like his money. So these 2, they don't, I mean, nothing really happens to them in terms of character, but they are used as a structural technique. Okay. Yes. The representation, what do you mean by Elizabethan society and Christian, like at that time? Yeah, they're kind of representative, aren't they? They're not really super duper. They're just there for, you know, ideas, Christian ideas and Christian values. And they're kind of funny in a way. So Tilly, what sort of things do they represent in terms of Christian men at that time? That's a very good point. Gossips, yeah, exactly. So they gossip. They're the ones that tell each other something. So they talk amongst themselves, but they also obviously therefore are telling the audience something. So when they're saying things like, oh, I've heard that Antonio's ships have gone and this, that and the other, you know, oh, I heard that Shylock was there. Yeah, a generalization of men at the time. They're not like amazing. So if you get I remember a couple of years ago, there was the scene where they were talking about Shylock, and it was Salario and Salary. I can't remember. There's 3 of them, but I mean, you know, they're all the same. And it was really interesting because a lot of people focused on what they were saying about Shylock, which is good. But if you can expand your answers to talk about, they are generalization of men, but they're also used by Shakespeare as a chorus, or they're used by Shakespeare as a structural technique, then that will just expand your ideas, and that's what we want to do. So right, what's the time? How long have we been doing? Right, so I've been doing this for 55 minutes. So I've been doing it for nearly an hour. So has anyone got anything else that they want to talk about, which they want me to have a look at? Because this is recorded so that you can go back and watch it again and again and again and again, because I know you want to, because I'm so cool. Any other characters? that you want to have a look at in terms of how they start? It's like the character arc. So what you could talk about is, obviously Shylock is the one that we don't hear about. Wouldn't it be interesting? And I'd be really interested in this. If you could read or understand what happened with Shylock as a Christian. Wouldn't that be interesting? I'd be really interested to read that. How he lived. Would Shylock become mates with these ones? That's just a question I'm just throwing out there. So obviously in terms of structural techniques, you have the characters, you have place. So where are the two main places? Who can tell me where the two main geographical places are? Write it down. Yeah, I would like to know how he deals with the transition from being a Jew to a Christian in a city known for his Christianity. Absolutely. Because he loses everything. He loses his Jewish faith. Here's a question. Would he still have to live in the ghetto? Venice and Belmont. Yeah, they're the two places. Absolutely. So what generally happens is in Venice, you have the tension happens in Venice. You've got them stealing Jessica. You've got the tension between Shylock and Antonio. You know, you've got the court scene. And Belmont is more comedic. It's where we have, oh hell, what is here? Do you know what I mean? Like the casket scenes and things like that. What else? Who can tell me what else? As in, what else do you think would happen? Probably not, considering the amount of money he has. He could move out quickly and relocate to a more luxurious place of residence. That's an interesting point of view, because he wouldn't have to live in the ghetto, would he? He could live anywhere. But do you think he would actually make friends? This is it. Like, if Thanos, using my amazing analogy, if Thanos became an Avenger, do you think after having killed half of humanity that he'd be mates with Black Panther and this one? Who's that one? Captain America and Thor and Hulk and another Captain America with a mask on. Do you actually think that would happen? Because that's what we're saying. Would Shylock be mates with all the people that hate him? Do they hate him because he's a Jew? Or do they hate him because what he's done? Or they just hate him because he's not a nice person? That's the question on everyone's lips. Yeah, so in terms of structure, he uses Belmont and he uses Venice. So things happen in these two places. And obviously, why does it end in Belmont? What's the reason why it ends in Belmont? Who can tell me? Why doesn't it end? Why doesn't it end in the court scene? Why doesn't it end in Venice? Why does it end in Belmont? Oh, they would hate him because he's a Jew, but hate him for something else. They would not hate him because. So do you think, Alex, that they would still hate him? That's the question. Yes, probably. I think so. I think that, you know. Okay, so this is has been recorded, so you can download it. I'll put it up for my classes if they want to watch it. So due to what he tried to do to Antonio, he basically tried to murder him, didn't he? So even though they were like, oh, you know, you're a Christian now, you did still try to murder our mate Antonio. But would Antonio be in the same situation? Would he still hold the same respect because of how he was embarrassed in the court scene? Just don't know. Anyway, anyone got any other questions? Otherwise, I'm going to end this revision session unless people have got any other questions about merch. So in terms of your exams coming up, do remember, if you've got your 5-star, if you're sort of using that, you've got your hypothesis, you've got your quote, you've got your technique. Now, do remember that when you're talking about your technique, it doesn't always have to be word level. Think about structure. This is a play. It's meant to be put on the stage. All right. You think about in terms of A Christmas Carol, where Dickens uses time as a way of, you know, changing things. Shakespeare uses place, so he uses Belmont and he uses Venice. So and then you got your ruby ring, you got your, you know, your zoom out. That's when you're exploring what these words mean, what they mean to the question. So if you get a question on Shylock as a Jew, well, hang on, are the Christians actually offering him mercy and sympathy? This man that he has just tried to kill, you know, Antonio could say, "You're dead," you know, and then Shylock would be like, "Ugh." Except to Antonio, and he doesn't kill him, does he? And he actually lets him have money, so you could argue that he is being merciful. So they're the sort of things that you can argue. All right, any other questions? Otherwise, it'll be Shanora, and I will see you later. Oh, you're very welcome. I hope you've had a nice half term. This weather's been awful, hasn't it? Soggy, soggy weather. Okay. So I hope that anyone that's just joined, this will be recorded, so you can just download it and watch the whole thing. Okay. You're very welcome. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining in. I'll see you later. Bye.